Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Assalamu alaikum viewers. In our ongoing tutorials of purchase order form development, uh, we have seen that how you can incorporate the built-in reconciliation capabilities of the system, so that the figures are tied up with some other figures. The breakup, for example, if you have a breakup in the form of notes, their total are ensured that they are in line mm, with the total figure for which the breakup is. And although the system, we have shown that it automatically passes the adjusting entry if the totals are not matching. Like, let's go to the our example, that is PO number 14, in which we have seen this. Okay, so if we double click on this 200, so since this is matching, it is not making any alert, or it has probably already done the adjustment in our last thing, so that's why it is showing it. The things which it automatically does, it comes with for the lastmost cell, that is the remark cell, and here it writes what it has done. The rule is that it will, whatever is your format, it is going to pass the adjustment entry or of the balance amount and write the remarks in it, and it will copy the lastmost entry, and so it will be, so that you can make the changes anytime, right? For example, if you want to make the change of in the date, you can double click on it, and so this was on 5th of January, so let's make it 6th of January. So we can do this here, and it will ask for this, and you will make it okay. The other amount was on 6th of January, the 6th of January, okay, and you can remove the last remarks, since you have done it, and so you can remove it, and this is updated. Now you don't have any remark in here, and the date is adjusted. So you have used actually its adjustment, and this becomes highlighted. It means you got to save it before the taking, before the changes can take the effect. So you got to save it. If you save it, so now these are committed, right? So but for the cases, if you have for example, let's go to the text zone, and this you have passed adjustment. So let's select it, right, and we delete it, for example, right? For example, we delete it. Okay, 4. So that will cause the and these are unreconciled, right? Because $50 is the text, whereas the detail shows only $25. So what about this? As soon as you save it, it is going to give you the alert that it is ready to pass the entry for $25. Okay, so because sometimes you may need the automatic adjustment to take place, or sometimes you may want to defer it, right? Let's say that you want to defer it because you don't have the other details of this 25, or then you will click no and wait until you have all the information and do. Or if you want to say yes, it is going to do the same. Means it will pass on the adjustment entry, and with a remark that there was an error of this. Okay, so let's see that if you say no, what happens? When you say no, it remains like this, and it remains unreconciled, right? Because you have said you don't want the automatic reconciliation to take place. So this is also needed. So instead of that, without asking, it starts passing the adjustment entry. Sometimes some users would prefer that it should ask before passing any adjustment, right? So for example, if you double click on it, right, then it will again ask you, do you want me to pass on it? If you say yes, it is going to pass the adjustment entry, and now the totals are agreeing, okay, because this is 50 and 25 makes you say still you want to make any changes in it, some additional changes, for example, you the invoice number, or whatever. Okay, let's make a change in the invoice number, and the date as well. For example, you want me to make it 5th of January, for example, is this, and this is for example 085. Okay, give anything, so that you have a different amount and different things, and you can remove this adjustment. So this is a new record, and the totals of this note is telling with what you have in the text. That's So, and it's the last thing you have to do is to save the note. Say yes, and it is saved. Okay. So what it has done in the terms of coding. So let's go to the code and see how does it take. How does it work? Okay, and what are the commands being used? As you know, in the save notes, this is the command, right, where it is using this, and only this command has been added. Okay, so this is my book. This is a parameter being passed in my book, and that book is the book which is open, right? The notes book, right? And the total amount, that is $50 if the text was $50. So what it does is it goes each time you save it, it goes to reconcile using these three parameters. And let's go and see what does the reconcile procedure does. It does this one. It takes your given parameters, the three parameters. It activates the newly opened workbook, and it starts to query that what is the amount of amount column offset. It comes with some number. So the amount column may be 5, means fifth column from the left, or 6, or whatever. Okay, so that in the offset it can be used that go and this is, if it is not found, then it is going to give you the error that amount column is missing. So for this, you have to go to the file and make the amount column available, right? So there has to have, you can have as many columns as you want with the different headings, whatever. But you have to keep two things in mind, that there has to be a column with the title name, with the name, column heading, amount, and there has to be the last rightmost column in which the system may need to pass a remarked entry, right? So this is only the requirement. Otherwise, as many columns you can use, whatever the headings of the columns are, that these are not issue for. So they can be used. Okay, first of all, it checks the amount, and then amount column becomes the offset range there, and where for which the balance is going to be calculated. Okay, so if the amount is, for example, 50 starts, and it keeps on deducting the available entries, and in the end, it checks if the balance is not equal to 0. So it means it has to pass the adjusting entry. So it is going to ask you that pass the adjusting entry for that many dollars. Okay, say if you say yes, then it is going to pass this entry and save it. Otherwise, it will just save it and it will leave it like this. And this is how it is going to work. And it will get back to the my book, that is the book of the lesson. Okay, so this is how it works. Let's run it again, and let's close the. Let's remove all the breakpoints if there are, so that you are not hampered with that. Okay. So let's go to the purchase order, and as soon as you double click it, it is not doing two things. It is opening this file and reconciling as well. And if there is any adjustment required, so it is going to give you the answer. Well, since there's no adjustment required at the moment, so it passes on there. It passes the entry. Similarly, if you go to here, so no adjustment is required. You have already written it, so that's it. And if you double click on it, and you see that these are the $100, and in which this entry indicates that this is done by way of the adjustment entry. Right? So only one procedure is being used, and no repetitive duplicate entries in the code. Only wherever the reconciliation is required, all it does is to pass on the parameter to reconcile, and that's it. So wherever the reconciliation, so all these rewriting is saved if you use the reconcile sub procedure. So it is performed with these three keys, and these have to be public variable. We have discussed here in previous video that public variables, you have to make these variables public so that they can be used in multiple multiple procedures. Okay, otherwise, if you don't make them public, then they will be, you will have to set on each procedure again and again, and use their values. Okay, so making the any variable public, it saves your time, and it makes your program more efficient, and makes available the values to be used by other components of your program. Okay, I hope you liked it, and see you in our next video. Thank you very much for joining.